Hey guys, so for the past couple of weeks we've been reviewing a lot of really cool travel bags, and as you probably know by now, I'm a little bit obsessed with the concept of one bag travel. And as I've been taking more trips with one bag, I've realized just how precious space within the bag actually is. So I've been trying to kind of find ways to trim down on anything that's taking up extra space or adding extra weight. And during my last trip, one thing that I noticed is that my headphones take up quite a lot of space. So I've been traveling with the Beats Solo Wireless 2 headphones, and these have been great so far. However, as you can see, this is one of the bulkier items that I would actually end up packing in my bag. This is almost the size of a shoe, or a couple of shirts rolled up close together. So it's not very heavy, but it actually takes up a good amount of space in a bag. And as I said, when you're trying to travel with just one bag, this sort of thing can end up taking up some valuable space that I might want to use for something else. So recently I've actually been testing out the Apple AirPods, and I have to say I'm absolutely in love with these. I'm a pretty big Apple fanboy. I like their technology quite a bit, but when I first saw the AirPods announced, I was pretty skeptical about buying them. I didn't know how well they would work, and I was a little bit self-conscious, as most people were, about the way they looked. They do look a little bit silly when you're wearing them. However, as I've been wearing these on a day-to-day basis, and as I've been traveling with them, I've fallen more and more in love with many of the different conveniences that they offer. On top of that, they help save a ton of space. As you can see, there's a pretty substantial difference between these two. But I'm really excited to tell you a little bit more about why this is my new favorite piece of travel tech. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the Apple AirPod. So there seem to be two really big questions from a lot of people when discussing the AirPods. Maybe three. But the first question is sound quality. So how is the sound quality on these things? And to be completely honest, it's good, not great. And by good, I mean it is about the same as the wired version of these headphones. So it's not spectacular. And if you're somebody who cares a lot about the quality of your music, or you want a lot of bass or something like that, this is definitely not the pair of headphones for you. You're definitely better off with a pair from Bose, or maybe the Power Beats that also have the W3 chip that come in the AirPods, and I'll talk a little bit more about that W3 chip in a second. But I just wanted to get that out of the way because the sound quality is not going to blow anybody away. So if that's your biggest sticking point, this is definitely not the pair for you. But if you're looking for something that is a little bit more about convenience and ease of use, then this is definitely a great pair of headphones. The other question that is very common about these is, do they fall out? How is the fit? So I've been using Apple headphones for many, many years, and I'm somebody who's always had good luck with them. The headphones have always fit me super well. The shape just really works well with my ears, so they've always been very comfortable to me. And these fit identical to the previous few generations of wired headphones that they've been providing with the iPhone. So if you have been using Apple headphones for a while and you're comfortable with them, then these should be the same. These are actually even more comfortable because the wire is not going to be pulling them out of your ears, which is usually what caused them to fall out of my ears. Is if I was at the gym and the wire would get caught on something, it would yank them out. So if you are curious about how they would fit, I believe at the Apple Store they'll let you try some on. But if not, if you or a friend has a pair of the wired headphones, you can definitely just put those on, shake your head a little bit, maybe go running, and see if you're comfortable with the fit, because it's going to be very, very similar. So the third sticking point is the look. This was one of the main complaints that I heard when these first came out, and from seeing a lot of the other reviewers wear these on YouTube and seeing people on the street with them, they do look a little bit funky. Most of the people tend to compare them to having a cotton ball or a toothbrush or something in your ear, and they look a little bit silly. But I think it's just more because people aren't used to seeing something like this. I personally don't mind how they look that much. I've gotten over that already. The convenience that they offer me and how well they work is much, much more important than how they look. If you have been curious about AirPods and you've seen any of the reviews, one thing that everybody talks about is how easy the pairing process is. And I can definitely vouch for that. You pretty much just open it near one of your Apple devices, and it will come up and just allow you to select it as your headphones of choice. And so far this has worked, flawlessly for me. And once you pair it one time with that device, it will remember that device. So anytime you take the headphones out and put them in, it will recognize the last device that it connected to, and it will connect automatically. And the really cool thing about this is that, I use an iPhone, I have an iPad, and I use a MacBook. So the really cool thing is that the AirPods will actually recognize any device that's signed into the same iCloud account and pair automatically. So once I did it on my phone and I went to change it to my iPad, it was already there. It was already part of the drop-down menu where I could select it, and I can move back and forth really easily. With the Beats that I previously had, with the Solo Wireless 2 headphones, I had to turn off the Bluetooth on one of the devices and then connect it to the other one. So there was a little bit more of an inconvenience when I was, if I was flying and I had my phone and my tablet, if I wanted to switch from one to the other, it was a little bit annoying. That problem's been fixed with the latest set of Beats. They all come with the W3 chip that comes within the AirPods, so that's not really as big of an issue, but I haven't invested in a new pair of Beats, so at this point, the AirPods definitely win for convenience for me. So as far as the battery life on these, most of the reviews that I had watched had claimed that you could get about 6 hours of continuous use with these, and I found that to be very accurate. But to be honest, and that was one of the main complaints about the headphones, is that the 6 hours was not really that long. If you look at something like the Powerbeats, the Powerbeats 2 were about 8 hours before, and then the new version, I think they go for about 12 hours, supposedly. So that's a lot longer than the 6 hours. However, I haven't found the battery life to be a problem at all because of the decision to make the case a charger for the headphones. So the case itself holds a 24-hour charge, and it's a really rare occasion where I'll actually end up using the headphones for 6 hours straight. Usually it'll be about 3 or 4 hours, and then I might take a break and I'll put them in the case, and the case charges them up really quickly. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I believe Apple said that if you charge them for 15 minutes, you'll get like an hour or two of use. Something crazy. They charge really fast. So usually, I'll use them for a few hours, and then if I have to run to a meeting or something, or I just want to take a break, I'll put them in, and by the time I take them back out, they're usually almost topped off again. And then you can also use each headphone individually if you want. If you want to save battery life, you can just leave one in the case, use it, let that one charge up, and then swap out. So you have a lot of flexibility in how you can use it and how you can draw out the amount of battery life that you actually get with these. So speaking of the gym, that's another common question, is how good are these headphones for workouts? And so far, I've used them mainly for running. I run outside a lot, and I go to the gym and run on the treadmill a good amount. And I haven't had any issues at all. As I mentioned earlier, I never had any issues with the wired version of these, besides the wire getting caught anywhere. So, I wasn't too worried about these, and they really hold their place snugly. I've never felt them kind of slipping out as I was running. I know maybe other people may have problems based on the shape of their ears, but I felt very secure so far as I've been going to the gym and running with these. So, as with many other Bluetooth headphones that are popular nowadays, that are wireless, one of the coolest things is the ability to take phone calls from them, so have your headphones serve as a speakerphone. And for that purpose, these work great. When you're listening to your music, the call comes in, and you can just pick it up and answer it. And so far, I haven't had any issues with anybody on the other line complaining about the volume of my voice. I haven't had any problems hearing them. So it's worked really well so far as something for me to take meetings on, or to be able to kind of jog and talk on the phone if I have to take a quick phone call. So that's been really, really nice as well. Another thing that I've heard a lot of people complain about is the lack of physical controls on the AirPods, and I can definitely see how this would be an inconvenience. And it is nice to have the physical controls to control the volume, or even to answer a phone call. But most of the time, I always found myself using my phone to control these things mainly. So I don't really mind just pulling out my phone and tapping the volume button, or if I want to skip a track. I always rather do it from my phone regardless, just out of habit, I think. If you want to use the AirPods to control your music or something, you use a double tap on the headphone to activate Siri, and everything is done through voice. I don't think this is very practical. I definitely hope that they improve upon this if they make a new version of the AirPods anytime soon. It's really not convenient to be in an office setting, or even on a public transportation, and try to ask Siri to skip to the next track for you, or to start playing a particular playlist, or even to lower the volume. It's just silly. So That is something that is a little bit inconvenient, and I can see why people would complain about that. As I mentioned, I've kind of just dealt with it with my phone. Also, if you happen to have an Apple Watch, it works really well as kind of a secondary control for your AirPods, so you can control the music tracks from here. If you're listening to a podcast, you can control it, you can pause it, you can skip. It's really nice to be able to control the volume using the crown, because you can have very fine-tuned control over how high or how low it goes. So not everybody's going to want to buy an Apple Watch for their new set of AirPods, and you don't really have to. But if you do have an Apple Watch and you don't know what to use it for, or you want an extra use for your Apple Watch, using it as a secondary control for your AirPods is going to be something that's going to work nicely. And again, I really just want to take a second to call out the size here, because that's really the biggest thing that drew me to the AirPods, is just the convenience of being able to carry them in my pocket. With the case, they're very protected. The case has a magnetic closure that keeps it nice and tight. And then, these are magnetically pulled into the case at the bottom. That also helps keep them securely in their case. And it's been great to walk around with them in my pocket. In the past, I've tried to walk around with wired headphones in my pocket just to always have a pair of headphones in case I want to take a call or watch a movie or something. I always found that they would get tangled on something, on my keys or on a pen if I happen to have it in my pocket, or even just if they're in my pocket but the pocket's a little bit tight and I'm trying to pull the headphones out, the cable would get tangled, and it was so annoying. So this has been a lifesaver for that. And then on top of that, since they're so small, I can carry them with me everywhere, every day. It's really hard to imagine walking around with something like this clipped to my belt, or I'd have to take a backpack if I wanted to take this with me anywhere. And I take a backpack to the office, and I take a backpack usually when I travel, but when I go around during the day, I don't always want to carry something this bulky. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, when talking about one bag travel, where every little bit of space counts and is going to be really important to optimize that space to be able to fit everything that you need for a longer trip. So being able to eliminate the bigger headphones and just carry and just travel exclusively with these has been really helpful. And just a little asterisk to that statement. So this is my only pair of wireless headphones that I've been traveling with. Since I replaced the Beats headphones with these. However, I do always take an extra pair of wired headphones with me. So either the Lightning earbuds that came with the iPhone, or just any other pair of headphones that are wired. The reason for that being that I really like to watch the movies on the airplanes. They always have really cool movies. And so unfortunately, there's really no way to use these with the airplane. So a lot of the airlines will provide a headset for you, some of them for free, some of them you may have to pay a couple bucks. So if you don't mind doing that, then you can go ahead and just travel with these. I've never had much luck with the comfort or the quality of the headphones that the airlines offer. So I just sidestep that and just pack an extra pair of headphones that I know I'm comfortable with and that are good enough for getting me through the flight. And then whenever I reach my destination, or if I'm planning to watch something on my tablet, I'll just go ahead and use the AirPods. So something to keep in mind. So overall, as you've seen throughout this review, I really, really love using the Apple AirPods. They've surprised me in pretty much every way. I really didn't think they would have as good a battery life as they did. I didn't think they'd be as comfortable. And I didn't really appreciate how convenient it would be to have a truly wireless headphone experience, and also to have the charging case serve as an extra battery. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the sound quality on these is good, but it's not great. It's about as good as the wired pair of headphones. So if you're an audiophile or somebody who cares a lot about the quality of music, this is probably not going to be the best pair of headphones for you. It's really more about convenience, the ease of use. If you are somebody who has a lot of Apple devices and who really just want something that's convenient, that's going to work, that's going to pair really easily, and that it will allow you to move your headphones from one device to the other really easily. So if you have your phone and your tablet, you can go from one to the other, and it is really simple because of the W3 chip that's inside. These headphones are going to be a really good option for you. So at $160 these aren't the cheapest headphones, but it's also not an unreasonable price considering that it is from Apple. The pairing process is really good. The quality is really good. The sound quality is not the best. If you really care about sound quality, you're probably better off going with some of the Bose wireless headphones, or even the Powerbeats 3 are also a really good option, especially if you like the over-the-ear hook design better. But at $160, these aren't that bad. Definitely not as bad as I expected, and I think it's a pretty good value considering all the cool features that you're actually getting. So if you're looking for a really neat and convenient headphone to travel with, I definitely recommend taking a look at the Apple AirPods. If you found this review useful, please go ahead and give us a like below. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming reviews or videos. And thank you guys so much.